Snow White opened her eyes. Her eyes met the worried faces of the 7 dwarfs. They had been so sad. She smiled at them. It was good to be awake. "You're alive, Doc," the wisest dwarf cried out. He was so relieved. He had been so worried. The other dwarfs cheered. They were so happy. Snow White hugged each dwarf. She thanked them. They had been so kind to her. She was lucky to have them as friends. But how? Snow White asked, confused. She remembered eating the apple. It had tasted so sweet. Why wasn't she dead? Doc explained about the apple. It was poisoned. A handsome prince had saved her. He had kissed her. True love's kiss broke the spell. A shadow fell across the cottage door. Standing there was a handsome prince. Snow White gasped. She recognized him. He had saved her. The prince knelt by her side. He was so happy she was awake. He had been so worried. He took her hand in his. "My love," he said, his voice soft and warm. "You are safe now." He promised to protect her. He would never let anyone hurt her again. Snow White felt a warmth bloom in her chest. This prince was kind and brave. She knew she could trust him. The dwarfs said goodbye. They hugged Snow White. She promised to visit them. She would never forget them. They were her friends. The prince helped Snow White onto his horse. They rode towards his kingdom. She was excited to see where he lived. The castle was beautiful. It was made of white stone. It had tall towers. Flags waved in the breeze. People cheered as they rode by. Inside the castle, everyone was waiting. The prince's family welcomed Snow White. They were happy their prince had found true love. But not everyone was happy. Hidden in a dark corner was a woman. She watched Snow White, her heart filled with rage. It was the evil queen, Snow White's stepmother. She had disguised herself. No one knew who she was. She wanted Snow White dead. The queen saw the love between Snow White and the prince. She saw the happiness in the castle. She grew angrier. She vowed to destroy their happiness. She would get rid of Snow White. This time she would not fail. She would have her revenge. Section 5. The Cage of Lies. The queen disguised herself as an old woman. She went to the market and found a magic cage. It was a beautiful cage, sparkling with gold and jewels. She knew Snow White would love it, but the cage was cursed. Once inside, no one could escape. She would trap Snow White. The next day, the queen, disguised as the old woman, went to the castle. She gave Snow White the cage as a gift. "It's beautiful," Snow White gasped. She thanked the old woman, unaware it was a trap. She stepped inside the cage to get a closer look. Section 6. Unmasking Evil. The cage snapped shut. Snow White was trapped. She cried for help, but no one could hear her. The queen laughed. Her plan was working. Far away in their cozy cottage, the dwarfs felt a chill. They knew something was wrong. Snow White was in danger. They rushed to the castle. The dwarfs arrived just in time. They saw the queen gloating. They knew it was her, even in disguise. They tackled her to the ground. The queen's disguise fell away. Everyone gasped. It was the prince's stepmother. They were shocked. She had been so kind. Section 7. A Triumphant Reunion. The prince rushed to the cage. He saw the fear in Snow White's eyes. He used his sword. He broke the cage open. He held her close. Snow White was safe in his arms. She was so happy he was there. She knew she was safe with him. He would always protect her. The queen was furious. Her plan had failed. She tried to run, but the guards caught her. She was banished from the kingdom forever. The castle erupted in cheers. Good had triumphed over evil. Love had conquered all. They were safe. Section 8. Love Conquers All. The kingdom rejoiced. There was a grand feast. Everyone celebrated. They ate and danced. Music filled the air. The dwarfs were hailed as heroes. They had saved Snow White. They were loved by all. They knew they would always be welcome in the kingdom. Snow White and the prince danced all night. They were so happy to be together. They knew their love would last forever. Snow White had learned a valuable lesson. Love and friendship were the strongest magic of all. They could overcome any evil. Section 9. Forever After. Soon the wedding day arrived. The entire kingdom was invited. Everyone wore their finest clothes. The church was decorated with flowers. Snow White, radiant in a white gown, walked down the aisle. The prince, handsome in his uniform, waited for her. They promised to love and cherish each other. It was a magical moment. They were finally husband and wife. They ruled the kingdom together with kindness and wisdom. They were loved by all, and they lived happily ever after. The end.